Hello everyone and welcome back for another transfer update with me, David Lynch. It's been another quiet few days at Liverpool Football Club, but once again, as has been a bit of a pattern during this transfer window, things have exploded to life and we've had a sudden burst of news out of Liverpool just coming through today. So we'll start with the biggest news really, which is something I've written on. This is Anfield and reported, is that Liverpool have made contact with Brighton over Moises Caicedo. Now, all we've been hearing this summer is that Chelsea are leading the race for him. They've had several big money bids rejected by Brighton for Caicedo, and it looked like they're getting really frustrated in their pursuit of him. But out of nowhere now, Liverpool suddenly come into the race as they continue to look at options in terms of boosting their midfield, because obviously we know they've lost so many options in that midfield, haven't they? The James Milner, Naby Keita, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain going on frees, but then also allowing Jordan Henderson and Fabinho to leave for big money fees. So Liverpool, we know that they're desperate for midfield reinforcements, and it looks like they're doing the homework. They're looking out there and seeing what's available in terms of what they can get over the line in terms of bolstering that midfield again. Now, from Liverpool's side of things, they're sort of characterising this as them doing their due diligence, looking at the options that are out there. We know that they've been in talks over Romeo Lavia at Southampton, but they've been growing frustrated in those, so they have to look out at what is out there as a potential alternative. But I would still say, and the mood music around this is really that Chelsea are the long-term favourites, because they've put so much work into this signing, as we know. And my understanding is as well that Liverpool hadn't been in contact with Caicedo's representatives for quite a long time up until this point. So, you know, it's worth bearing that in mind, that Liverpool, maybe, yes, they're assessing their options in terms of if Chelsea can't do the deal or eventually pull out the deal, then Liverpool maybe will be there to pick up the pieces. But there's a reason that Chelsea are made the favourites. And that has been the case. You know, I've had from Liverpool's sources for a long time, really, that Caicedo, they always expected him to end up at Chelsea, so I doubt there's really been any change on that side of things. And also from the players' camp, I'm not getting the encouragement there that Liverpool are really in the mix here firmly. And so yes, they are. They've put in that contact with Brighton. They're doing the homework, but I don't expect it really to progress, because I think Chelsea are really going to push hard now to get this move done, particularly with Liverpool hanging around ready to pick up the scraps if anything happens there. So I would say it kind of is a move that at the moment feels unlikely, and I think that's a shame, because I think he's a fantastic player and would be a really good fit for Jurgen Klopp's brand of football. We've seen him at Brighton. He can press, he can pass, he can do all the things that Jurgen Klopp wants of a midfielder. But unfortunately, I think this is one where he is possibly going to go to Chelsea. I suppose the upside there is that I do think Liverpool will get their alternative. We know that they're still in the mix for Romeo Lavia. It's been a sort of frustrating process at the moment that's still ongoing, really. Southampton standing so firm on that £50 million price tag that they've put on Lavia for this summer. We've spoken about the reasons for that before, in terms of the 20% sell-on clause to Manchester City. Also the fact that they want a premium on the £40 million buyback clause that Manchester City have that activates next summer. So, you know, they're really standing firm. So we know at the moment that Liverpool now have had 3 bids rejected by Southampton. The latest of those was worth £46 million. Now, I feel like there's room for negotiation there in terms of, yes, Southampton want to stand firm that 50 million valuation, but it's, can Liverpool make that up in terms of add-ons that are maybe less achievable? Can there be some sort of compromise where Southampton come out of this and feel like they have won, even if they get just shy of the 50 million in guaranteed fee? I think that's the process that's ongoing at the moment. Now, there was a slight spanner thrown in the works, as we know, this week, in terms of Chelsea suddenly becoming involved. Now, you know, all the top 6 clubs really have been credited with an interest in Lavia. We know Manchester City have that buyback clause coming up, so maybe not interest for this summer, but they protected themselves against the possibility that they might want Lavia down the line. Arsenal, if Partey were to leave, would possibly become involved in this one. They like Lavia as well. Manchester United also credited with an interest, although we think they prefer to go down the route of trying to sign Sofian Amrabat from Fiorentina. And then obviously Chelsea, it's been long spoken about that they might get involved in the mix here. And so we know this week that they've had a bid going that's worth £48 million, which again has been turned down by Southampton. Now, it's really, really difficult in situations like this, even as a journalist, when you're familiar with the way that sort of transfers work and you speak to sources close to these things. There's a lot of misdirection going on, so it's very hard to unpick whether Chelsea see Lavia as a genuine option, or it's a case that Joe Shields, who now works at Chelsea, was a former chief of recruitment at Southampton. Is he doing his old club a favour by saying that Chelsea are involved in this race? Is it some Chelsea retaliation for Liverpool perhaps becoming involved in the Caicedo situation late on? It's all a little bit messy and difficult to unpick. And even as I say, with journalists, we do have sources at clubs. These situations can be very, very difficult to really get to the bottom of what's going on. But I think the one thing we can guarantee is that Liverpool is still in the mix. I would expect another bid from Liverpool. I think they're not giving up on this one. He has emerged as their main target for that holding midfield role, and they don't tend to, in those situations, give up easily on the main targets. They've also had some sort of reassurance from Lavia's side that he would really like to play his football at Anfield. Obviously, playing under Jurgen Klopp for any young player is a really attractive prospect, because we know he develops players really well, and so there's also the real carrot of the fact that there's a real open position for him in the team. There's no recognised holding midfielder outside of Stefan Bajcetic, who's also really young. So Liverpool really have got a spot for him to play there, come and play under Jurgen Klopp, and that looks really, it's an attractive package that Liverpool have got though. So negotiations are going to go on with Southampton, and we expect those to progress over the coming days. Like I say, very difficult to unpick exactly what Chelsea's involvement in this, but I think he is the priority for Liverpool, and so we'll have to see how that one shakes out in terms of whether they can get a deal over the line. There's still hope on that one. I wouldn't think it's one where you think that Chelsea is suddenly going to steal in and get him. I think in the shake-up of all this, if you were to put a gun to my head, I would say that maybe Chelsea will get that Caicedo deal over the line. They're also signing Tyler Adams from Leeds. That release clause has been triggered and the medical's ongoing. So maybe that leaves the path open for Liverpool to get the Lavia deal over the line. But obviously, they'll want to move quickly now, because there's always that doubt in your mind that's cast by Chelsea sort of suddenly coming into the mix. Now, just to move away from incomings slightly now, I just want to wrap up by touching on a potential outgoings that's been mentioned now. You may have seen some reports from France today that Thiago Alcantara is being the subject of a €12 million bid from Al-Ahli in Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, Liverpool have had the squad slightly picked apart by Saudi Arabian teams this summer, allowing Fabinho to go and Jordan Henderson. And as I said, they're looking a little bit light in midfield in terms of the players they've lost there. Now, my understanding at the moment is that there's been no bid received by Liverpool for Thiago Alcantara as of yet. So, yes, there may be interest, but the report from France, which you may have read, said that there had been a €12 million bid lodged for Thiago, but that has not been the case. There's been no bid received from Liverpool's side, so nothing to say on that from their side as far as Liverpool are concerned. I think they would have a difficult decision to make or perhaps not a difficult decision to make, if a bid were to come in. We know that this squad is so light on midfielders at the moment. Now, Liverpool are trying to address that. They got Alexis McAllister in at the start of the window, Dominic Szoboszlai as well, and they're trying to get that deal over the line for Romeo Lavia, as mentioned. But so the idea that that they've got enough now in terms of what they've lost versus what they're bringing in to allow Thiago to leave, I just find that difficult to believe. I think the ideal situation, and this is my understanding from talking to sources as well, is that Thiago would maybe see out the final 12 months of his deal at Liverpool, and then would leave with everyone's blessing then, because I think Liverpool need him as a stopgap as well in terms of bridging that gap. They've got several new midfielders in who've got to get used to the system and really bed in. They've also, if Lavia does sign, he's only 19 years old. You don't want to put too much pressure on him. You need experienced heads around the place as well in terms of leadership, having lost the likes of Henderson and Milner, who were so important in those terms. So I think losing a player of Thiago's experience and quality would be a poor move at this point in the window, and I don't get the impression from Liverpool's side that they're encouraging any further bids or that they feel that they would be willing to accept anything like that for Thiago, because he's seen as a player who can be key going forward this season, even if he's not going to get that contract extension as I understand it. So one to keep an eye on, maybe in terms of, does this ramp up? Does a bigger bid come in that makes it a little bit more difficult for Liverpool? But as I say, I think they're leaning on the side of keeping Thiago this summer if they can, because the numbers in terms of midfield will not quite work for them if they allow him to go. And like I say, they need that experience there. So one to keep an eye on in terms of whether it develops. I'm sure there'll be many more further developments in terms of that potential Moises Caicedo interest. Do Chelsea come in for Lavia or not? Do they firm that up? Does that suddenly become a race then where Liverpool pivot to Caicedo. So many interesting storylines coming out of this transfer market, and there's still 3 weeks to go, and Liverpool have still got an awful lot of business to do. As we know, they're still looking at defenders as well, and we haven't had quite any names coming out or any firm moves on that, but there's still, I'm sure, a lot of twists and turns to come. Now, best way of keeping track of that is to hopefully stay on board with these transfer updates that I'm doing. So if you could please like and subscribe, it would be massively appreciated. And there's a few more things on the channel that you may not have seen in terms of match content now that I've been doing a post-match review after that friendly against Darmstadt at Preston, and also a behind the scenes, which you should hopefully check out. I thought hopefully enjoy that bit, something different other than these transfer updates. So yeah, please do like and subscribe, and I'm sure I'll see you soon for one of these again.